Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andrew Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Binner and Ash Paulson to discuss some of the recent rumors involving the Nintendo NX, Zelda, and Nintendo games in general that suddenly seem to be a lot more credible all of a sudden. That sounded redundant, but I'm going to go with it. So let's get started. Alright guys, so there have been a lot of rumors recently, primarily from a single source, specifically Trevelyan9999, also known as Super Metal Dave 64 on YouTube, who has had just a ton of rumors recently. He's been posting on his YouTube channel as well as the NeoGAF, and we've been keeping up with them, but we haven't been reporting all of them because at first, it just seemed like he was just having a field day with these things, and we had no idea as to his credibility. However, his rumors seem to have been increasingly credible as of late. First off, it began with, I believe, his source was apparently verified on NeoGAF. So we all know as to what the verification process was, but apparently a NeoGAF moderator did verify that the person he's claiming as a source does in fact work at Nintendo, I believe. But of course, that doesn't actually speak to the credibility of the rumors themselves. However, since then, one of the games he had said would come out was Disney Art Academy, and following, I believe the day after he said that game would come out, it was confirmed as an actual game. Now, beyond that even, as of today, so actually, backstepping a little bit, another game he had said would be coming up would be, on this huge list of games he had coming up, would be a new Pokemon game, which he originally misreported as being Pokemon Rainbow. But the original name that he had translated is called Niji. So Pokemon Niji is what the supposed codename for the game was. So as it turns out, after Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon were announced today, Nintendo issued a press release with some assets for the game, like the logos. And the file names for the logos had the same Niji word in them, which basically confirms that unless he was extremely lucky, his source was right on the money with this Pokemon rumor. Which, although we don't know the exact credibility for the rest of his rumors, they all of a sudden seem a lot more likely. So I figured we'd go through some of these rumors and just give our thoughts on them and what we think all of this could mean. And of course, one of the biggest rumors that came out from him recently is the fact that Zelda Wii U is also going to be The Legend of Zelda NX, and it's going to be a holiday title this year, which would also confirm that the NX is in fact coming this year. So that's extremely interesting. For one, because I think we've all been in agreement, basically, that the NX, we've all thought it's coming this year. And at least for me, I've been championing that Zelda Wii U would in fact also be an NX title, also coming this year. So this isn't a huge surprise. At the same time, it's kind of awesome to have this potential verification. And I think it makes a ton of sense that I've discussed before. But what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, it does make sense. I mean, we've been talking about the Zelda NX for a while. We just the possibility of Zelda NX for a while, and we all think it's going to happen. For a while there, we thought it would only come to the NX, just because we hadn't heard from Zelda Wii U for so long. As for the validity of his other predictions so far, I was on the side of this guy's just full of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no way it could happen, but apparently it is matching up. I'm not fully sold on the whole thing at all yet, but it is slowly becoming more credible. But this is also one of the safest bets you could make, that Zelda Wii U would be also coming to the NX and is probably coming to holiday. I think everybody sort of predicted that, so this isn't making the case to change my mind anyway to make me further believe him, because we've been saying this for how long? We just don't have any way to back it up. It's just our opinion.
It's true by itself. It is a it's a pretty obvious thing, at least so we think. But I think in conjunction with everything else we've since learned about this, everything he has leaked, to me, it does, it lends credibility to this very idea.
The Niji thing is the kicker.
Exactly.
That would be such a lucky guess. That is such an unlikely thing to just happen to guess. That The fact that Niji is in the file names was in the file names for the Pokemon Sun and Moon logos, and the fact that Nintendo has since changed the file names to remove that word, that says everything.
It does.
It really does. And I mean, that's the kicker for me. I totally agree that Zelda Wii U also coming to NX could be something that anyone could have easily predicted. But taken together, it makes everything a lot more interesting. I also feel just slightly vindicated because there are still so many people out there who really genuinely believe that Zelda Wii U is going to be canceled and just moved over to the NX wholesale. And I have been standing by my opinion that was not going to happen. The Zelda Wii U is still going to come out, and if this guy's right, then it is. And I still think it is. I don't think Zelda Wii U is getting canned, or the Wii U version's getting canned and moved to NX. I think it's absolutely coming out on both.
I mean, I think it has to. Nintendo's kind of, I mean, they've even as recently as a few months ago, they said it's coming out this year on Wii U. So they will get so much backlash if it didn't come out on that system.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, as I've been saying, as probably most of us have been saying, like, porting it to the NX makes so much sense because it worked so well for Twilight Princess on the Wii. I'm sure that game had maybe perhaps a small part, but it certainly didn't hurt the Wii's success. I mean, Nintendo's most successful console of all time. Right. Why wouldn't they try to replicate that on the NX? Especially with the fact that, I feel like making a game, a Zelda game of this caliber, or so it seems based on the little we've seen, like, it really does seem like this is going to be an epic experience. It almost seems like a waste to put it on the Wii U. Like, it's only going to cater to their existing user base. It almost, I mean, as harsh as that may sound, it almost seems like a waste to just throw it out onto a dying console.
Right.
It makes so much sense to also put it on a new console where where Zelda Wii U's marketing would then tie into the whole marketing plan for the new console as well. Oh, and that's another great reason. The NX is in fact coming out this year. The last thing Nintendo wants to do is have a major game compete with their new console or new system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And I remember when I was getting the Wii, I was so excited that, oh my god, there's a Zelda as a launch game for the Wii. That was huge to me. And I think that's something that will really bring in the hardcore market because, you look at the hardcore market, are they going to get the older version of Wii U or are they going to update and get the NX version? And it's definitely going to be the NX version.
Well, on that note, it'll be interesting to see what changes there will be between the Wii U and NX versions. If we're looking at a total graphical overhaul, or if we're looking at extra features, like there were at the end of the day, the GameCube and Wii version of Twilight Princess, they had their differences, but it's not like you were really missing out by not playing the GameCube version or the Wii version. So it'll be interesting to see if Zelda NX is going to, really have a definitive experience, or if they're going to be comparable.
Well, it's especially interesting because it seems like Zelda Wii U has been designed with the gamepad in mind. So either the NX is going to have some kind of similar compatibility, it wouldn't, and perhaps with the gamepad as well, but it would have to be also its own device. I mean, they can't bank on people having gamepads. So either they're going to have, the NX is going to have some kind of similar capability, or they're going to have to design the game around that, where maybe it isn't dependent on the gamepad.
Or maybe the NX is really the Wii U 2, and it uses the gamepad as its main controller, and people are going to love that.
It's two Wii U's duct taped together?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
God. I hate that quote so much.
I know, it's not a good one.
Yeah.
Getting back to the Niji thing real quick, I'm going to kind of be bouncing all over the place with this, I feel like, because there's so many different rumors involved here. But the one thing that does strike me as odd about the Niji thing is Nintendo had to have been, I would have thought Nintendo would have been aware of this rumor. Why would they release those file names, those pictures with that as a file name? Why, did they not realize that beforehand? And
well, to be frank, that seems like the kind of thing that could easily slip through the cracks.
That's probably the case. And the fact, I think their biggest mistake here is changing those file names. The fact that they actually changed the file name only further supports the idea.
Exactly.
So this whole thing's weird. So NX this year, that means E3 is going to be huge because I don't think we've had, we know so little about the Zelda game. It is nuts.
Yeah, we have to have a blowout come E3.
And what's also interesting too is that we have discussed rumors to the effect that the NX might be like a staggered release, like if it was both like a hybrid, then we were discussing rumors that the handheld version would come out this year and the console version would come out next year. If this is all to be believed, then it seems like whatever the NX is, the whole thing is going to come out this year.
It's possible. I mean, well, I don't know if we really even know that at this point. Because,
we don't. I just feel like, why would people buy Zelda for NX if it's only going to be playable on a handheld device? That
actually is a really good point. Yeah. And it kind of ties into the topic we had in our podcast recently, where most of us prefer playing on the console.
Exactly. Especially a game like Zelda.
Yeah, that's exactly the case, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I really like Spirit Tracks. I really like many of the handheld games, but I mean, especially in the case where they're going full 3D on it, I want to be playing that on a TV that I can fully see.
Right. So there's a difference between Link, Ocarina of Time, and Link to the Past.
Right.
Not even that, but Spirit Tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, that's a great point. The Ocarina of Time, like, even though the 3D version, I think is technically, is better in many respects. I mean, to be fair, I'd have to go back and replay the 64 one to be sure. But I think I would almost rather play the inferior version just because it's on the TV and I have that proper console experience.
I want to play the 3DS version on the TV.
Exactly.
That's what I want to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
And that would be fantastic. Like, if that's what they're going for with this hybrid model with cross-game compatibility, or cross-system compatibility, I should say.
NX could make it happen.
Well,
And-
something else.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Something else that one of the other rumors that came out at the same time the Zelda NX stuff did was the marketing budget for both the Wii U and 3DS for 2016, and the fact that the Wii U is about the budget for the Wii U is about $20 million lower than the marketing budget for the 3DS definitely suggests that, not that we didn't already know the Wii U's on its way out,
Right.
but that, the proof's in the pudding right there. I mean, the fact that their main console right now is getting a $20 million less of a marketing budget
Yep.
than their 5-year-old handheld is saying a lot.
It really is. And speaking actually of those marketing figures, like, it's kind of nuts. I mean, so this whole thing is crazy. The fact we've had so many rumors from this one single source, and the fact that they got to this level of marketing, of giving out actual marketing figures. For one, like, when I saw this initially, like, I took this as like a sign that it's being fake. Because usually when rumors get like this precise, this oddly precise, that to me is almost a sign of it being fake. In this case, it seems like it is true, and as of recently, Metal David 64 or Trevelyan has basically gone missing. He's stopped tweeting. He's gone back, deleted most of all of his recent rumor videos. And Kotaku, which ran a story recently about this very thing we're discussing, actually mentioned they reached out to him and he didn't want to comment on any of this. And it's making me wonder, like, what's happened, like, what's gone down.
Nintendo ninjas.
Yeah,
is
pretty
what's gone
much.
down.
He's
Well,
dead.
I mean, there's that, but also, like, Nintendo's ninjas have been kind of off their game recently, because we have had unprecedented amount of rumors from Nintendo recently that have turned out to be true, whether Smash leaks, these recent leaks, and even other things that came in the cat for, like potentially Mother, potentially Paper Mario and Wii U. Like, Nintendo has had some major leaks recently that is surprising for a company that's been usually seal-proof. Or, waterproof, or, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, now it could be said that it is seal-proof.
Yeah, I guess that's right, exactly. They were seal-proof.
Yeah,
So-
it's kind of funny how many rumors and all these leaks are coming out, but I guess somebody in there really wants to get it out, and maybe this person that leaked all this stuff is the reliable source. Maybe he's getting cracked down on, and that's why Super Metal Dave is trying to protect him in some way. I mean, I don't know anything about that for sure, but one of the reasons I did not buy this rumor is that he said he had somebody that would be willing to come forth and confirm all this, and I'm like, there is nobody at Nintendo that would risk doing that, considering Nintendo fired a Treehouse employee for giving oversharing during a podcast interview. Well, there is no way.
That's right. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, we don't even know, like, what the full communication level was between Trevelyan and his source, but I don't know how the source could think he was so confident in releasing these figures than having himself be verified on NeoGAF. Like, I don't even understand any of this. Like, at what point did he think this was a good idea? And releasing marketing figures, that's a pretty big deal. Like, to us, like, as consumers, it doesn't seem like a big deal. For corporations,
oh no, that's a huge deal.
That's something Nintendo doesn't want its competitors to know.
Yeah.
So Nintendo, I am sure they are trying to find the sources, like, if they haven't already. And man, I mean, if I were the leaker, I would be very concerned at this point.
Well, there's that that tangentially related weird situation with the Nintendo News Twitter account talking about how they can confirm that there's a source inside Nintendo that they want ratted out, and it's like this. I mean, it does seem to be that there is definitely someone in Nintendo who is leaking things.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's getting so weird that Nintendo news sites are now calling for this guy to be exposed, and there's something going on. Like, that much, I think we can ascertain. Something is definitely going on. But I that's kind of touching on what you said, Andre. I would be really nervous if I worked at Nintendo right now. They have got to be cracking down and doing some major investigations right now. I would be so nervous.
Oh, dude! I mean, it reminds me of getting back to the Treehouse person who was fired. He described the process, how he had mentioned that for those who don't know, he was on a podcast where he gave some behind-the-scenes information, which he evidently shouldn't have. It did seem awfully forthcoming at the time, surprisingly so for someone from the Treehouse, who are usually tight-lipped. And he mentioned that he remembers when he was at his computer, and someone mentioned, "Hey, your name is on Go Nintendo," and I think at that point, that's the point when you realize he was in deep, deep trouble. And I could perfectly envision how I would feel in that situation. And
me too.
Oh, just a terrible pit in your stomach.
Oh, yeah.
I had that feeling, and I'm not even him. I read about it, and I just had that feeling in my stomach, like, oh my god, that poor man.
Yep.
I would never want to go through a feeling like that.
Exactly. And it has to be even worse for whoever this source is, I would think. Just because this is, I would think, almost more damaging than the tree.
It's not almost more damaging.
So.
It's several times more damaging than Xenoblade localization sequence.
Right. So yeah, it's pretty. This whole thing is nuts. But I guess another one of these rumors that came out from Trevelyan was that he had heard that Final Fantasy VII remake, as well as Final Fantasy 15. Would be coming to the NX as well, and could possibly be the definitive versions. Which is big news for multiple reasons. One, as we had speculated before, I think, as a lot of people have speculated when Cloud came to Smash Brothers, could this be establishing a better relationship with Square and have better NX support? And that seems to be the case. And on top of that, at this point, it does suggest that one of the platforms of the NX is going to be reasonably powerful in order to support Final Fantasy 15 and 7, and possibly be the definitive versions. That's not going to be a weak console.
Definitely not. Well, remember, there were those rumors, I guess maybe 1 or 2 months ago, swirling around that the NX, at least the development kit for the NX, was several times more powerful than the PS4,
right,
or something. Which, obviously, the final system that comes to market might not be quite that powerful, because usually I think development kits give a little more leeway for things like that. But it would suggest that the NX, whenever it does hit market, is going to be at least as powerful as the PS4, if not maybe slightly more powerful in terms of what's under the hood. So it definitely does seem like Nintendo is, this time around, designing a system to be able to compete with the PlayStation and Xbox in terms of their technical specs.
And this isn't the first time we've heard about Square Enix games possibly coming to the NX, because when they were showing off Dragon Quest XI, that's another one that they made a suggestion could appear on the NX.
And that's right.
Yeah, that happened immediately too.
Yeah, that would corner the Japanese market right there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Square, it's easy to forget, but Square's relationship with Nintendo isn't a bad one. I mean, it was back in the PlayStation 1 and N64 days, but since then they've kind of come full circle, and now they got plenty of 3DS games out. It's not surprising to me that Square would be supporting the NX. I mean, it is a little weird when you think of the idea that the FF7 remake in 15 could be headed to the NX. That just sounds like a crazy rumor, but if you really break it down, we have been seeing a pretty significant Final Fantasy presence, both in Smash Brothers and on the 3DS in general, with Explorers, Theater Rhythm. It isn't that. And now the FF Tactics came to the Wii U Virtual Console, or Tactics Advance came to the Wii U Virtual Console. It's not that crazy to think that Square would throw their support behind Nintendo's next console.
I mean, it's not just from a relationship standpoint. It kind of is from. I mean, it's surprising in the sense that it's showing, assuming it's true, they have confidence in the NX being a success.
Right.
And that actually is kind of surprising, because accepting the Wii, Nintendo's been on a downward trajectory with their consoles. So, right. But then again, can you really go any lower than the Wii U? And God, I hope not. So,
it's so crappy to have to talk about the Wii U like that, because personally, I love the system. I have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I think it has its issues, but I do think it's a good system. The reaction in the marketplace has been very tepid for it, to put it lightly. Yeah. So, but with this, having Square out of the gates for the NX could be awesome, and that's a sign of things to come for the NX in terms of third-party support. That's exactly the problem they need to fix, and that is very promising. Yeah, I guess the part of it that seems a little fishy to me, if anything in all of these rumors that Trevelyan has, kind of disseminated over the last few days sounds a little fishy, it's the idea that these could be the definitive versions. Right. It's not impossible, but it's just because Final Fantasy is almost synonymous with Sony, with PlayStation, with that brand. I would be shocked if the definitive versions of both of these games, especially the 7 remake, weren't on PS4. That just seems really weird to have the definitive version of Final Fantasy games, especially the one that is most closely associated with the PlayStation.
Yeah.
To have the definitive version be on the NX.
You see, the way I sort of interpret that is like it comes with all the DLC. That's
True.
basically it.
Yeah, that could be it.
And then later on, PS4 will also get that version.
That's a good point.
The initial release on the NX will be the definitive version that comes with all the DLC or extra stuff that might be with it. That's all I take it at. I don't think it's going to be that much better unless its power, the NX's power, is just that much better than the PS4.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, needless to say, I am more excited than ever now to see what's going to be happening here at coming E3. Hopefully sooner. I still think they need to talk about the NX before E3. I still think they'll give at least some vague idea what the console is, at the least, before doing the full software unveiling at E3. But I don't think they want the unveiling of the hardware necessarily competing with the unveiling of the software. Especially because I think they can, get more attention that way by spreading it out too. So
right,
yeah,
it would make sense.
I want to see what's going to happen. So I guess the final part of all these leaks, which we kind of already touched on because the Pokemon rumor came from this initially, but he also leaked basically Nintendo's entire software lineup, at least for games funded by Nintendo, or I guess published by Nintendo, up through up for the entire year. So, there are not a ton of surprises here, but there are some things that are a little vague. But there may be some ideas as to what they are. So, for the spring, early summer, coming out for the 3DS, we have Mario and Sonic at the 2016 Olympic Games. We have Nintendo, the first wave of Nintendo Selects, which I think we've already learned about.
Yeah.
With Hyrule Warriors Legends, we have Disney Art Academy now, Bravely Second, Metroid Prime Federation Force. Then next up, we have a codename game called Caviar F. So, and that's something that's running through, this is something that's going to pop up a few times, is a bunch of these code names. But luckily, several people on NeoGAF, and most specifically, Immunity on GAF, had some ideas for what these code names could reference. And in this case, he thinks, or he mentioned that Caviar had been used for previous Pokemon Rumble titles, and so he thinks this one is going to be Rumble World. Which
That's
in this
so
case,
boring.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense as they all ages. Some are, smaller budget games, so
Right.
whatever.
Well, I wish I could remember where I found this, but I was reading in some NeoGAF thread that there was some speculation that one of these codename titles could be Rhythm Heaven Plus, but we have them all accounted for here, and there are plenty of good reasons that none of them would be Rhythm Heaven Plus, so it's probably not happening, but it wouldn't be that hard. It's just it's a rhythm game. There's not that much localization that needs to happen.
Yeah.
No, you're just not allowed to have it, Dash. You gotta
I know.
because you wanted the brothers or the
Chorus Kids.
the chorus kids in Smash. They're denying you all Rhythm Heaven forever.
It's all my fault.
Yep.
Completely, yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Ash, there's still some hope for you, I think. Just because coming up in the summer release schedule, there's a codename game called Tort City, which is apparently a big budget unannounced game for gamers of all ages. Now, granted, they mean unannounced. Maybe that applies to a worldwide basis, in which case I would. Actually, no. Who knows what they mean by that? But maybe that could be maybe that's your Rhythm Heaven, Ash.
Is Rhythm Heaven really a big budget game though?
Oh, actually, you're right. I guess not. Okay, never mind. Sorry, Ash. All your hopes are dashed. Some people are suggesting though on GAF that maybe that could be Yokai Watch 2 for the North American audience.
That would be a really quick turnaround between Yokai Watch 1 coming out in November and already having Yokai Watch 2 over the summer. It would make sense as a release time.
Yeah.
But it does seem just really soon to have that,
I mean, you're totally right. I guess it would depend on maybe they were sitting on Yokai Watch 1 for a while and they had time to translate Yokai Watch 2. Otherwise, it doesn't be a really fast turnaround. I think it would make sense to capitalize on whatever hype there is for Yokai Watch 1 without interfering with Pokemon coming up this holiday too, or in the future perhaps. Mm-hmm. And without the NX potentially getting in the way too, but who really knows at this point? That game could be anything. So potentially it could be maybe another big budget game we don't know about coming to 3DS, which would be cool. The next up we have Dragon Quest VII on this list, and then also another codename game called Cadillac, which apparently according to Immunity has been used in the past to reference the Style Savvy games. So in this case it would be a localization of what is it, New Style Boutique 2.
Something like that, yeah.
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
I've never played them. Actually, I just thought of something. We kind of skipped over something from the spring, early summer release schedule.
Yeah.
Federation Force coming out in that time frame.
Oh, that's a good point.
When Nintendo has said nothing about it. That was actually another
Yeah.
big reason I did not buy this rumor, because there's no way Federation Force is coming out that soon when they haven't talked about it at all.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's impossible though. I mean, this is later down the list, so I would probably peg this more as an early summer game. And I
Yeah,
could see it
probably.
still being an early summer game, even if they haven't talked about it much lately. You know, there could be a spring direct where they could reintroduce it. I don't think it's
Yeah.
that far-fetched.
I guess so.
It's possible. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, I think the fall/holiday lineup, though, is where things start to get a little bit more interesting. But first off, one of the things he mentions here is that the 3DS hardware is going to get a price cut. And I think that makes sense. Like, we're probably entering the twilight of the 3DS's lifespan, especially in the NX. I mean, who knows what the NX release schedule is, but it seems like there will be a handheld component at some point coming up pretty soon, probably. Either, either this holiday season or maybe shortly into early next year. But it seems like the 3DS is coming to its end at some point, not too far down the line. So I think a hardware cut makes perfect sense at this point.
And the 3DS price cut makes more sense than the Wii U price cut, because the Wii U
Oh,
price
yeah.
cut would potentially cannibalize Wii U's or NX sales. So, the 3DS is not directly competing with Nintendo's next console.
That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, I think again, Nintendo's kind of like they're just riding that sinking ship as far as they can.
Basically.
So I don't think they're gonna change anything about the Wii U. But yeah, a hardware price cut for the 3DS. Tie that in with a Pokemon release. Bam. That's gonna be a massive holiday season. So.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have another codename game called InStars, which is apparently another big budget game for all ages. And again, Immunity comes through saying that stars have been used for Mario Party games in the past, and he thinks this could likely mean this is another Mario Party game. And on top of that, he mentions that in this case, the N might reference Amiibo, because the codename for Amiibo, or rather the abbreviation for Amiibo, is NVL. So he thinks the N might stand for that same abbreviation. In which case, we could have another an Amiibo-focused Mario Party game. Which, oh my god, if it's anything like...
Which went so well with 10.
know.
Mario Party Amiibo Festival.
God.
anything like that, I'm gonna be so... Yeah, right? They've had such a great run of those Amiibo-focused party games.
I want InStars to be literally anything else. Not that I hate Mario Party, but I mean, of all the things that could be coming out, like some big name game in the fall holiday season, Mario Party?
The only thing that make it exciting is if all this Smash Brothers Amiibo worked with N-Stars.
That's true. I mean, it would be awesome if it was like a Mario Party, but with other characters, that like non-Mario characters. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, the name InStars does, kind of suggest that maybe it could be like an all-star type game, like a Smash Brothers type game where it's like a Nintendo All-Stars roster. So that could be pretty cool.
I mean, especially if it's Amiibo focused, that ties into the whole idea we've had in the past of giving Amiibo something better to do.
That's true, and I mean, hey, if that means that Mega Man's going to be in the next Mario Party, then that automatically makes it the best Mario Party ever. So, I mean,
and I don't know, like, getting back to the big budget logic, does Mario Party really qualify as a big budget game?
It doesn't seem, at least not anymore, maybe back in the day, but these days I feel like they're not big budget games.
Like mid-budget.
Mid-budget, yeah.
That's a good one, exactly. Yeah, totally mid-budget game. And they're even, Mario Party 10's even give it a mid-budget price, so...
Exactly, so I don't feel like that checks out.
Yeah. Yeah, I could agree with that. So I mean, I hope you're right. I would much rather see something more unique than another Mario Party with Amiibo. Especially because, well, I guess this complaint would potentially apply to this game regardless. But I don't think Amiibo are a great thing to do on the 3DS, because it's a pain to have Amiibo with you on a handheld console.
Yeah.
As you're playing at home.
I kind of forgot this was on the 3DS. Crap.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the Wii U version. Of
Right.
The Wii, like,
It really only... I mean, we had that problem in Mario & Luigi Paper Jam as well, where it's just... It works, I think, if you only have to scan the Amiibo once for the entire time you're playing.
Exactly.
But any game where you have to scan it over and over again, it's just not a good fit for the 3DS, and, for that matter, for the Wii U, because no one likes passing around the gamepad in Mario Party 10, and each person scanning their own Amiibo every turn.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Not too much left, actually, but we have apparently a second wave of Nintendo Selects coming in the fall/holiday, which is cool. There's quite a few games that get added to that, seeing as how Nintendo loves to not discount their games. So they have a massive, massive array of ones to choose from. And then we have another codename game being DMW2, which is suggested to be Disney Magical World 2. I guess that's a codename they used for the previous game, and that acronym lines up perfectly. So then we have Dragon Quest VIII, and then we have, of course, the Pokemon game we already know about now. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to point out that overall, taken as a whole, this list isn't that far-fetched. Like,
it's not.
It isn't really that.
really.
There aren't really any crazy surprises on it, especially if all the code names turn out to be what Immunity thinks they are. It seems very reasonable. It seems realistic to me.
I agree. It absolutely does. And not only that, this is actually not a bad lineup for a console potentially in its final year or two.
Oh no! Between Bravely Second and the 2 Dragon Quest games, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's a great year for
and
RPG
of course, Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also just wanted to point out really quick that I've seen some chatter online about how this is completely invalidated because if the Mother 3 rumors end up panning out to be true, then this Mother 3 is on the list. But what these people are forgetting is that Mother 3 would be a Wii U title, not a G. Not a.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
it's not a. It's going to be for the Wii U because it's not.
Yeah.
Not the 3DS.
There's the only 3DS Game Boy Advance titles there are from the
the Ambassador
games.
program.
The Ambassador program. That's it.
Yeah, so that does not. Mother 3 does not invalidate this list.
and not only that too, but given the fact that these are all retail releases, right? Whereas I would think Mother 3 is going to be an eShop only game.
That is also true.
Yeah,
So even if it was going to appear on the 3DS, it would not be listed
Yeah.
yet, unless they were doing a retail version, like combining all the Earthbounds, and that's just not going to happen.
Well, and along the same lines, I saw someone say, "Well, Monster Hunter Cross isn't on this list." Again, Nintendo published. This does not include
Right.
third-party companies like Capcom, and Square. Yeah, Bravely Second, but Nintendo's publishing Bravely Second in the US,
and
not
the Dragon Quest games. They're the
Yeah,
ones
and
that
Dragon
brought
Quest
these games over.
exactly.
Right.
So yeah.
So, do you guys have any final thoughts all about any of this before we wrap it up here?
I'm still not 100% sold on all this. I mean, we're at the point now where his crazy stuff has kind of come true, so it kind of makes all the lesser stuff seem like it could happen. But
Right.
I always like to have a little bit of a guard up to say that this could still be wrong. But it in all honesty, it does feel like it is becoming a little bit more true. But I'm excited to see if it'll actually happen, because if this is all true, this is mostly some pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm like this just feels true to me. I'm like 85% true. I feel like I'm almost completely on board with this, and I pretty much am. Like, it just feels legit,
It does. I mean, it's funny because I really was nowhere close to believing all these rumors. I mean, he released so many rumors. I'm like, how can this?
Yeah, I was
possibly
like,
be
this
true?
guy's just trying to stir the pot. I mean, who is this guy even? And then, I mean, to his credit, the Niji thing is what really changed my mind, and completely
Yeah.
changed my mind, because that is an impossible thing to guess.
It really is. Like, you add that to the Disney Art Academy as well as the confirmation on NeoGAF. Like, everything seems to be lining up for these rumors being right. And then you add to the fact he's gone completely radio silent. He's deleted some of those rumors. Like, who even knows what's happened behind the scenes? Like, did Nintendo get in contact with him? Did his source freak out and tell him to stop reporting stuff? Like,
Yeah.
You're gonna get me in trouble. Shh.
right.
The thing I'd be curious to see, especially next to this 3DS release list, is a Wii U release list for 2016. I'd be curious to see just how much shorter that list is compared to the one we're looking at right now.
Oh my god.
No.
See, I would just want to see Mother 3 and Paper Mario on
Yeah,
there.
that's
I'd be
true.
happy.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then there's also, Pokemon Tournament, Star Fox, Zelda, and I guess that's it, right?
That we know of. I mean, I'm
Yeah, that we know
pretty
of.
sure there'll be at least one or two more games that they reveal,
Yeah.
for the
Hopefully.
summer and fall.
Indeed. Alright, well I think that about wraps up for us here, so thanks guys for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below to go away and keep up to date on everything we post. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain for more on all these games, hopefully at some point, assuming it's all true, and other things gaming as well. Catch you guys later. Bye.